Recently, Russian authorities raised global concern after stating they possess the capability to trigger a volcanic eruption at Yellowstone National Park. This declaration has caused alarm among international observers due to the potentially devastating consequences of such an event. The Yellowstone supervolcano is widely recognized as one of the most dangerous natural formations on Earth, and any attempt to manipulate its stability, whether theoretical or strategic, presents serious implications for both environmental and geopolitical stability. According to insiders, this concerning statement was broadcast through a Russian television channel, where military figures allegedly discussed their advancements in missile technology. During this televised segment, a military expert revealed that Russia had developed a missile with unique capabilities, including the potential to deliver a large number of nuclear warheads simultaneously. The sophistication of this system reportedly enables it to perform multiple launches with a high degree of efficiency, positioning it as a strategic asset in military planning. The military spokesperson further stressed that no defense system could fully counter this missile, suggesting that even advanced national defense shields would struggle to neutralize such a threat. This assertion raised eyebrows, as it directly addressed the perceived vulnerability of the United States. The discussion surrounding this missile served as a broader warning, with the implication that certain strategic targets within the United States, such as Yellowstone, could be susceptible to such advanced weaponry. The mention of Yellowstone in this context has intensified public concern. The possibility of using a missile to target the Yellowstone supervolcano, even as a hypothetical scenario, is deeply troubling. The volcano, located in the western region of the United States, is known to possess an enormous magma chamber beneath the surface. If triggered, it could release an eruption on a scale far greater than any modern volcanic event, affecting not only the local population but also global climate, agriculture, and infrastructure. Those speaking on behalf of the Russian side suggested that initiating such a catastrophic chain reaction could severely weaken the United States. They warned American authorities to be cautious with their rhetoric, implying that words and actions taken on the geopolitical stage could have long-lasting consequences. While the threat may not have been delivered as an official policy statement, its underlying message was clear. Yellowstone could be considered a strategic point of vulnerability if relations between the two nations continue to deteriorate. In response to this alarming conversation, the United States Geological Survey has firmly stated that triggering the Yellowstone supervolcano through artificial means is scientifically implausible. Experts have repeatedly emphasized that the natural systems controlling volcanic eruptions are deeply complex and not something that can be forced or manipulated by external human activity. The geological mechanisms involved in an eruption involve pressure, gas buildup, tectonic movement, and timeframes far beyond human control. Despite these scientific reassurances, the conversation has reignited discussions about what an eruption at Yellowstone could mean for nearby residents. While the threat of an eruption remains low, the presence of a human population within and near Yellowstone National Park cannot be overlooked. Current data shows that over 1,000 people reside within the park boundaries, with thousands more living in surrounding areas. In the event of a natural or artificial disaster, these communities would be directly affected. The release of this information has not gone unnoticed within military circles. Sources with knowledge of ongoing discussions have expressed concern over the increasingly strained relationship between the United States and Russia. They have described the current diplomatic situation as extremely unfavorable, with trust between the nations continuing to erode. These developments represent a marked downturn in relations that have been fragile for many years, and the recent rhetoric has only added to the tension. Within these discussions lies a broader warning about the consequences of military escalation. Launching any kind of projectile, particularly one with nuclear potential, would have far-reaching and irreversible outcomes. In the case of Yellowstone, the repercussions could extend far beyond the borders of the United States. A supervolcanic eruption could affect global weather patterns, disrupt food production, and result in the displacement of millions of people. It would be an event of unprecedented scale and consequence. At this point in time, the most rational response is to remain calm while closely observing the situation. Though political tensions continue to simmer, the hope is that diplomacy and rationality will prevail over conflict. The world has witnessed in history the dangers of rhetoric escalating into action, and the goal for all nations must be to avoid a path that leads to irreversible destruction. As researchers and experts continue to monitor the Yellowstone supervolcano for natural signs of activity, it remains essential for the public to understand the science behind these formations. Despite theoretical discussions, natural forces are not easily manipulated. Yellowstone's magma chamber lies miles beneath the surface, shielded by layers of rock, pressure systems, and geologic time. While advancements in military technology have achieved impressive feats, they are still no match for the complexity of Earth's internal systems. Nevertheless, the geopolitical weight of such statements cannot be ignored. The idea of threatening geological landmarks as a means of warfare introduces a new and deeply unsettling element to modern conflict. It moves beyond traditional strategies and ventures into the realm of environmental weaponization, an area where consequences are not only catastrophic but potentially uncontrollable. The potential eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano represents one of the most significant and terrifying natural threats facing humanity. Though often overlooked in daily life, this massive volcanic system lurking beneath Yellowstone National Park in the United States could, in the event of a full-scale eruption, bring about a planetary catastrophe of unprecedented magnitude. From immediate regional devastation to long-term climate consequences and widespread societal collapse, the hypothetical eruption of this supervolcano would change life on Earth as we know it. The following essay explores the expected outcomes of such an event in detail, covering the eruption's immediate impact, chain reactions throughout the region, long-term global effects, and the ultimate consequences for civilization. To understand the magnitude of a Yellowstone eruption, one must first grasp the scale of destruction that would occur immediately upon the event. Scientists classify such an event as a super-eruption, one capable of releasing over 1,000 cubic kilometers of volcanic material. Estimates suggest that the Yellowstone supervolcano could eject approximately 2,500 cubic kilometers of ash, magma, and other debris. For context, the eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington state in May of the year 1980 was considered enormous at the time, yet it released only about a quarter of a cubic kilometer of volcanic material. This means that Yellowstone's eruption would be more than 10,000 times more powerful than that of Mount St. Helens, with the energy release equivalent to hundreds of thousands of atomic blasts. The initial blast would devastate the surrounding area, including the states of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. This region would experience the most intense effects, such as pyroclastic flows, widespread ashfall, and a shockwave capable of toppling buildings, flattening forests, and rendering vast regions uninhabitable. The extreme force of the explosion would not necessarily create a towering volcanic mountain as one might imagine, but rather a massive caldera collapse, leading to widespread land deformation. Roads, cities, and infrastructure within hundreds of kilometers would be severely compromised or entirely destroyed. Adding to this, Yellowstone lies in proximity to several sensitive geological fault lines along the western United States. The energy unleashed could trigger a cascade of seismic activity, initiating powerful earthquakes throughout the region. Faults stretching across California, Nevada, and Oregon might be affected, creating a chain reaction of tectonic shifts. Such seismic disturbances would further destabilize cities, prevent evacuation efforts, and isolate survivors from necessary aid. Beyond the regional destruction, the eruption could lead to the formation of new volcanic vents and additional eruptions. While traditional eruptions do not directly cause others, a supervolcano's immense pressure release could cause pockets of magma beneath the Earth's surface to find new paths upward, emerging as fresh vents during or shortly after the primary eruption. These would appear as smaller volcanic structures, forming rapidly due to the newly created weaknesses in the Earth's crust. As tectonic plates shift in response to the eruption's power, long cracks along the western coast could result in the birth of new volcanic systems. In this way, although the Yellowstone eruption would not technically awaken dormant volcanoes nearby, it could indirectly lead to a series of smaller eruptions and widespread volcanic activity across a significant portion of North America. Perhaps the most globally impactful consequence of such an eruption would be the onset of a dramatic climate event, often referred to as a volcanic winter. During past supervolcano eruptions, such as the Toba eruption approximately 74,000 years ago, massive amounts of volcanic ash and sulfur dioxide were injected into the upper atmosphere. These particles created a dense layer that reflected sunlight away from the Earth, significantly reducing surface temperatures. In the case of Toba, this resulted in a long-lasting global cooling event, with some researchers suggesting that it may have led to a population bottleneck among early humans, reducing global numbers to as few as 11,000 individuals. Should Yellowstone erupt today, scientists predict a similar or even more dramatic effect. A vast cloud of ash would envelop the sky, not only across North America, but eventually spreading across the entire globe. Within days, sunlight would begin to dim as ash particles blocked incoming rays. Temperatures would begin to drop globally within weeks. Crops in temperate regions would fail almost immediately due to lack of sunlight and falling temperatures. This darkness could last anywhere from 6 to 7 years, and even after the ash settled, global cooling could continue for another 1,000 years. The Earth would effectively enter a new ice age, with altered weather patterns, frozen landscapes, and significant changes in precipitation and growing seasons. The impact on agriculture would be swift and devastating. Without sunlight and with plunging temperatures, nearly all modern farming techniques would become useless. Crops would fail across the globe, and photosynthesis would stall. Farmers would be unable to grow even the most resilient produce. In tropical and temperate regions alike, the blackout would eliminate the ability to grow grains, vegetables, or fruits. Livestock would suffer from a lack of food and shelter, as well as exposure to extreme cold. With the breakdown of agriculture, entire economies would collapse from the bottom up. Agriculture forms the base of the global supply chain, fueling not only food production but also clothing, animal feed, biofuels, and pharmaceutical ingredients. Without it, modern civilization would come to a standstill. This lack of food would rapidly translate into widespread shortages in stores, food banks, and storage facilities. Within just a few days, shelves would be emptied as transportation grinds to a halt. Ashfall would make roads impassable, airports unusable, and shipping routes unreliable. Grocery stores, which rely on just-in-time supply chains, would run out of food in less than 72 hours. Without resupply, and with the loss of power and fuel, cities would quickly fall into disarray. Panic and desperation would spread as communities struggled to secure the last remaining resources. In this environment, systems of law and governance would begin to erode. Authorities would be overwhelmed and unable to manage the chaos, and entire regions would become isolated from organized aid. Despite the best efforts of governments and relief organizations, there would be very few safe havens from the fallout. Even remote or self-sustaining homesteads would be affected. Most individuals who prepare for emergencies typically store enough supplies for several months to a year. However, surviving in a world shrouded in darkness for 6 to 7 years, followed by a millennium of colder climates, would require deep underground shelters, years of provisions, and the means to grow food without sunlight, such as through hydroponics and artificial lighting. Few such facilities exist, and even fewer are accessible to the general public. Those that do exist are not widespread enough to provide refuge for more than a tiny fraction of the world's population. In addition to the agricultural collapse, the world economy would grind to a halt. Transportation networks would become unusable. Global trade, dependent on air and sea travel, would be paralyzed by ash and infrastructure damage. Industrial centers would shut down, leading to job loss and widespread unemployment. Communication networks would falter as the power grid failed in numerous regions. Banking systems, reliant on digital infrastructure, would be rendered inoperable. The economic instability would cause governments to lose control, and markets would crash beyond recovery. With no food production, no global trade, and no functioning economies, the planet would enter a period of deep societal regression. Humanity's survival in such a world would depend on the ability to adapt, cooperate, and preserve knowledge and resources through the darkest years. However, estimates suggest that the global population could decline by up to 95% due to the compounded effects of starvation, exposure, illness, and lack of essential supplies. This strange object has been spotted above China. One user by the name of Lee said that they've always been fascinated by the night sky and said they've spent countless hours gazing up at the stars and planets, marveling at the mysteries of the universe. Although they didn't see this strange object, they reported that it was posted on a social media group they follow. The witness who saw the phenomena said that at first it was just a small, faint light in the distance, moving slowly across the sky. But as they watched, the light grew brighter and larger, until it was clear that it was not a star or planet, but something much stranger. The object was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was shaped like a giant staircase, with a series of smaller orbs and lights rotating around its center. As it drew closer, the eyewitness could see that the smaller orbs were changing colors and emitting a strange, pulsating energy. They watched in amazement as the object moved closer and closer until it was hovering directly above their house, casting an eerie, otherworldly glow over the surrounding area. They could feel something being emitted from the object and said they felt a sense of both awe and fear wash over them. For what felt like hours, they watched as the object hovered in the sky, seemingly studying the earth below. The eyewitness reported that they could see strange symbols and patterns etched into the surface of the object and said that it was unlike anything they had seen before. As suddenly as it had appeared, the object began to move away, disappearing into the distance. For weeks afterward, the eyewitness could not shake the image of the strange object from his mind. Luckily enough, they managed to take a photograph of the event, which they then shared to social media in order to get some answers for what it was that they saw. Various ideas have been presented to explain what the object was, with some saying that it was a type of atmospheric anomaly, while those interested in the unknown put forward the idea that it could have been a piece of technology that was cloaked, and that due to the sun's rays, it partially revealed the object. Oddly enough, one user by the name of Samantha said that she had seen a similar-looking object. She reported that she often dreamed of witnessing something strange and mysterious for herself. One evening, as she was driving home from work, Samantha saw something in the sky that she could not explain. At first, she thought it was a plane or a helicopter, but as she drew closer, she realized that it was something far stranger. The object was hovering in the sky, its shape resembling that of a ladder, with a series of rungs that seemed to be holding it in place. The object glowed with an eerie, pulsating light, and Samantha could feel the heat and energy emanating from it. As she watched, the object began to move, hovering over the road in front of her car. Samantha could see strange symbols and patterns etched into the surface of the object, and she knew that whatever it was not of this world. For what felt like hours, Samantha watched as the ladder-like object moved slowly across the sky, seemingly studying the earth below. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, and she wondered if she was the only one who had witnessed the strange and otherworldly sight. As suddenly as it had appeared, the object began to move away, accelerating at an incredible speed and disappearing into the distance. Samantha sat in her car, stunned and overwhelmed by what she had just witnessed. For weeks afterward, Samantha could not shake the image of the strange, ladder-like object from her mind. She told her friends and family about what she had seen, but most dismissed her story as the product of an overactive imagination. But Samantha knew what she had seen, and she was determined to uncover the truth. She spent hours researching online, poring over books and articles about sightings and mysterious encounters, trying to find others who had witnessed the strange ladder-like object in the sky. Eventually, Samantha's search led her to a group of like-minded individuals, a small community of amateur astronomers and enthusiasts who had seen similar objects in the sky above their homes and communities. Together, they shared information and theories about the strange ladder-like object, trying to piece together the puzzle of its origins and purpose. They scoured the internet, looking for any clues or evidence that might help them understand the mysterious object. For Samantha, the experience had been both exhilarating and terrifying. She had seen something that defied explanation, and it had opened her mind to a whole new world of possibilities. When people witness strange lights or objects in the sky that they cannot explain, their first instinct may be to assume that they have seen an unidentified object. However, many of these sightings can be attributed to natural phenomena, such as weather patterns or astronomical events. One common explanation for unidentified objects is misidentified aircraft or satellites. A low-flying airplane or a satellite reflecting sunlight can appear as a bright light moving quickly across the sky, leading people to believe that they have seen something otherworldly. Similarly, weather phenomena such as lightning, ball lightning, or sprites can create strange and unexpected visual effects in the sky. These atmospheric events can cause glowing orbs, strange shapes, or unusual patterns in the sky that can be easily misinterpreted as unidentified objects. Astronomical events, such as meteor showers or other celestial bodies entering the Earth's atmosphere, can also cause unusual sightings. For example, the appearance of a meteor or comet can create a bright and unusual light display in the sky, leading some to mistake it for an unidentified object. Even natural phenomena on the ground, such as swamp gas or bioluminescent creatures, can create strange and unexpected lights and shapes in the sky that may be misinterpreted as strange objects. In some cases, psychological factors, such as suggestibility or hallucinations, may play a role in mysterious sightings. People who are already predisposed to believing in advanced life or who have experienced a traumatic event may be more likely to interpret strange phenomena as evidence of unidentified objects. It is also worth noting that in many cases, sightings are simply hoaxes or misunderstandings. People may fabricate sightings for attention or profit, while others may mistake common objects such as balloons or drones for unidentified objects. While it is true that some sightings may be genuine sightings of unexplained phenomena, the majority of sightings can be explained by natural phenomena or human error. It is important to approach reports of unidentified objects with a critical eye and to consider all possible explanations before jumping to conclusions. As of right now, while the idea of unidentified objects may be fascinating, it is important to recognize that natural phenomena can account for the majority of reported sightings. In the vast expanse of the ocean, a hidden world lay beneath the depths, a realm largely unexplored and shrouded in mystery. It was here, in the remote waters of the Pacific, that a remarkable discovery was made, thanks to the keen eyes of a curious observer using Google Earth. An amateur explorer with an insatiable curiosity for the unknown found himself engrossed in the satellite imagery of Google Earth. He spent countless hours navigating the virtual globe, seeking hidden treasures and anomalies that would ignite his sense of wonder. As he pored over the imagery of the Pacific Ocean, his gaze fixated on a remote section, far from any human settlement. An enormous object caught his attention. He described it as a massive structure nestled on the ocean floor, its size and shape defying explanation. Intrigued, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something truly significant. He decided to share it on social media so others could look at it. Driven by his curiosity, he wanted to know what this strange object was and how it was able to change direction on the ocean floor. According to him, the object that can be seen at the end of the trail looks to be in the shape of a pyramid. He said that the mysterious structure doesn't match anything else in the area and wanted to post it online so that others could put forward their own theories for what they thought it could be. The user who found it said that the possibilities seemed endless, suggesting that it could have been an ancient temple, an underwater city, or evidence of an advanced civilization predating recorded history. As of right now, he said that it's important to note that pyramids have been uncovered all over the world and caused him to suggest that there could be pyramids submerged at the bottom of the ocean. The scale of discoveries made in recent years by scientists has completely transformed the way we view our oceans, so we should remain receptive to the potential of marine exploration. In the watery depths, entire civilizations have been lost over time, leaving behind awe-inspiring constructions on par with cutting-edge modern engineering. Denying the accomplishments of past generations is unfair, and until we have explored all the uncharted ocean territories, it is quite feasible that large structures could be lurking beneath the waves. As noted, it is intriguing to see what appears to be a large object at the end of what appears to be an artificial track. It is noteworthy that those who have viewed the images have observed that the areas surrounding the structure appear to be blurred, indicating that an organization may have intentionally done this to obscure details about it. It is widely known that certain organizations alter photographs prior to their public release. It has been acknowledged that specific regions on Google Earth have been obscured due to security concerns. Certain locations may not be visible to the public eye, as they are restricted areas that authorities have deemed off-limits. Consequently, these areas are obscured with intentional blurring or black boxes to prevent any further disclosure of details. This may refer to sites that are restricted from public access, such as government establishments. The query that arises is what the intention is behind obscuring something in the ocean, and why numerous uncanny objects feature blurred markings. As of right now, various theories have been put forward to explain what these objects are, including artificial structures, monuments that have been lost to the waves, and giant pyramids.